Hey guys, how y'all doing? It's Joe back again with another video, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my top two teams, bottom two teams, top team whose record I think will improve the most, and the team whose record I think will fall the most in the NFC. Now, there might be the same team that has the record that I think is going to fall the most, and there might be one of the bottom two teams. In that case, I will let you guys know. But let's get this started. First off, let's start with my top two teams in the NFC. And my first team is the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks are a hard team not to pick to be one of the top two teams in the NFC and really one of the top teams in the NFL just because of how talented they are. They still have a really elite defense, and with the additions they made, I think they're only going to be an even better team. Now, Kerry Williams is he's a really good cornerback, and I think he's really going to help that team, along with Atiba Rubin really adding depth to that defensive line, and Jimmy Graham is going to be a really dynamic player for the Seattle Seahawks. Just like he was in New Orleans, I think he's going to be even better with Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson's going to have another year to progress, and he's just going to keep getting better with experience. And now, for the first time, he really has a good weapon. He really hasn't had a weapon throughout his career. I mean, he's had Percy Harvin, he's had Golden Tate. But Percy Harvin and Golden Tate are not elite players like Jimmy Graham. You don't have to game plan as much for them as you do Jimmy Graham. And by having a player like that on this offense, I think they're going to be really scary because that's one thing they have lacked a long time is a playmaking pass catcher. I think now that they have that, the Seahawks are going to be a really hard team to beat this year. My next one of the top teams in the NFC is the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers didn't make a whole lot of changes to their team this year. What they really did is they kept a strong core of players, and they had a strong draft that they were able to build a lot of depth on this team, and they're also able to get a lot of players who will be able to contribute in the future. Now, they did re-sign a lot of their key players, such as Randall Cobb, Brian Bulaga, and B.J. Raji, as you can see up there, and they also cut linebacker A.J. Hawk. The Packers also have their strong core of receivers, and their running back Eddie Lacy is going to be getting a lot better since he's just a young back. He's going into his third year, and I expect him to really make another big leap forward this year and be another great running back in the NFL, just like how he's been the past few years. He's been solid and one of the top rushers in the NFL, and I expect him just to get better this year. Also, rookie wide receiver this year, and he's going to be a second year in this upcoming year, Davante Adams. I've heard he's been improving a lot. He's been playing really, really well. I'm looking forward to seeing big things from him this year. Also, with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers leading the way through the NFC North, I think it's going to be really hard for them to be beaten by anybody with a quarterback with that ability. Considering he also is coming off of an MVP season, Aaron Rodgers is going to be really hard to beat, and I think he's just going to keep getting better. And I think he's really still on his upwards climb, and I really think he's going to be getting better for another 2 to 3 years and then before he really starts to hit that plateau. But he's a great quarterback, and he's really going to lead these Green Bay Packers to do some big things this year. That's why I have them listed as one of my top two teams. Now, the first of my bottom two teams is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know a lot of people are going to be saying this is the easy way out. Either that, or a lot of people are not going to be agreeing with this pick, the first overall pick of Jameis Winston. But I think the Buccaneers are not going to be a very good team this year because, first off, they play against the New Orleans Saints twice a year. And I know the Saints didn't have that great of a record this year, but I expect them to have a really big bounce back, and I'll talk about that more later on in the video. They also play against the Panthers twice in the year. And I just don't see the Buccaneers getting very many wins. I don't see where they improve. Sure, they signed Henry Melton, and I think that's a good addition, but that is the only good addition I saw them make. They also lost Deshaun Goldson, who I believe is a very solid safety. And they drafted quarterback Jameis Winston, and a lot of people are saying how Jameis Winston is going to be the savior of this franchise and how he's been playing so well in all these practices, but I'm not sold on Jameis Winston because if you're going to be the first overall pick, you can't throw as many interceptions as he did in college. And I'm just not going to believe with a horrible offensive line, no run game. And of course he has Mike Evans and he has Vincent Jackson. But I just don't think he's going to be able to get the ball to those two because they can't run the ball. And I don't think he's that great of a quarterback. Plus, he's not going to have that great of pass protection. And their defense is okay. I just don't see them getting very much done this year. Now, my other pick for one of the bottom two teams in the NFL this year and they're also my pick for the team that's going to fall the most this year, is the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the San Francisco 49ers were a decent team before this whole offseason started, but when this offseason started, they lost Justin Smith to retirement. They lost Patrick Willis to retirement. They lost Chris Borland to retirement. Navarro Bowman is coming off of an ACL injury. I'm not sure if he's going to be back to where he was. They lost Chris Culliver, and they lost Mike Upati to the Arizona Cardinals. They lost so many players. They also lost Frank Gore to the Indianapolis Colts. They lost so many players, and they were all key players of this team. They also lost Michael Crabtree to the Oakland Raiders. I could just keep going on and on and on. But the San Francisco 49ers lost a lot of players. Those aren't just average players they lost. Those are key players at key positions. Basically, all they have right now is Colin Kaepernick, who's inconsistent, and all they just have him. And they have at running back, they have a question mark. They have Reggie Bush, who has been okay at points in his career, and he's really only had one really good season. And then they've also got Carlos Hyde, who I don't know what he's going to do this year. Vernon Davis is on the decline. We don't know what Aldon Smith can do because he's always getting suspended. What can we really expect from the San Francisco 49ers? I'm not expecting much. I'm expecting them to be one of the bottom teams in the NFL this year, just due to a bunch of unfortunate events and pretty much their whole entire defense retiring. And that's a really tough thing to come back from and to be a good football team. And I just don't see it happening for the Niners this year. Now, the last team we're going to be covering today is the New Orleans Saints, and they're my team that I think is going to make the biggest jump this year at record-wise. Now, the Saints are getting a lot of people back from injury, such as Jarius Byrd, Brandon Cooks, and John Jenkins. And I think that's really going to help their defense that was ranked 31st last year. They also drafted a lot of strong players, such as Damian Swann. And they drafted Damian Swann late, so a lot of people don't know a lot about him. But he played at Georgia, and he's a really versatile defensive back. He can play corner, he can play safety, and he can even rush. He's a pretty good outside rusher as a defensive back. And they might have traded Jimmy Graham, but by trading Jimmy Graham, they received Max Unger. And sure that Jimmy Graham's going to be a big loss, but Drew Brees has shown he can get it done with pretty much anybody at wide receiver or tight end. I mean, he won a Super Bowl without Jimmy Graham. I'm sure he can do it without him this year. And they received Max Unger, and the Saints have really needed a center, and Drew Brees was really getting hit a lot last year, so by helping that offensive line, that's going to really help the team a lot this year, even though they had the first-ranked offense last year. And they also didn't have the strongest rushing team, but they re-signed Mark Ingram, who had an okay year last year, and they signed CJ Spiller to kind of give them more of a two-headed monster, as well as they cut Pierre Thomas. And they signed Anthony Spencer to help that defense, and they traded away another one of their top targets, Kenny Stills, to the Miami Dolphins, and that's also going to be a little bit of a blow to that offense. But they added Dannell Ellerbe at linebacker, and he's really going to help that team and, again, help that 31st ranked defense. And if they're able to improve that defense, they're really going to be a good team this year, and I'm expecting them to be one of the best in the NFL. Alright guys, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll be doing another video on the top teams, the bottom teams, top rising team, and top team that I think is going to fall in the AFC, or just my AFC power rankings pretty soon. Just keep your eye out for that. And again, leave whatever videos you want me to do down in the comments. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Later, guys. Peace.